Hi everyone, it's Jing, and today I made this video so that I could introduce Elf Dog and Owlhead, a 2024 Newbery award-winning book by M.T. Anderson. And so I discovered this book, and so on my Kindle, it was one of the books that was recommended to me, and so I heard of this book. I watched the ALA announcements, or at least that's my bucket list right now. That's on my bucket list. And so yeah, I'm pretty aware of all of the award winners of the year, and so I was thinking about making a video for this book, and so it actually took a lot of time to actually get to get even to this point, because I was reading a lot of Newbery books and other books. And so, yeah, and here I am. And so today, just wanted to talk about the first 2 chapters of this book, and then after that, some just other questions and stuff. And so after this, introduction, I'm gonna do an entire full video where I talk about the themes and stuff that I really liked about M.T. Anderson's Elf Dog and Owlhead. So I would consider this a gem, a rare find. And the reason I'm gonna consider it like this is because, well, here's the thing. This has won the 2024 Newbery honor, but that doesn't necessarily mean that people are gonna come flocking to it. And so I didn't really know a lot about Elf Dog and Owlhead, because everybody else, everywhere else, every other book had more reviews than Elf Dog and Owlhead. And sorry, I am right now I'm searching this store for online, because I wanted to just demonstrate how many reviews there are. There are 54 reviews. This is surprising. It was published last year, and now it's already tomorrow is gonna be August 2024, and August, right? So it's gonna be August, and it is a Newbery winning book. Yet 54 isn't an enormous amount, right? So I was saying, maybe we shouldn't do this, but then I read the book. And so, first of all, if a book wins a Newbery, there's bound to be a reason. And besides, I am the type of person who says, well, I don't really care if there's 1,000 reviews or 100,000. I just read it most of the time. And it also came up on my recommendation list, so I read it, and I really loved it. It's right now the favorite book, I would say, of this month. And that's a big deal, since this is the last day of July. Just before we begin, I just wanted to point out that this time there are so many fantasy books that have been promoted and put into the Newbery list, right? We have Elf Dog and Owlhead. Fantasy book, definitely, right? And then we have, The Many Assassinations of Samir, the Settler of Dreams. We have Eagle Drums. We have The Eyes in the Impossible. That's 4 books. And as Simon sort of says, while it is realistic fiction, and it really grapples with a lot of important themes that are right now very important in this world, there are some very otherworldly elements as well, like sending signals to a space telescope and trying to herd trampling emus. And yeah, so just wanted to point that out, right? Because mostly we've seen realistic fiction for a lot of Newbery books, and so I'm a person who really loves fantasy, and I'm really happy that fantasy books are being more well represented. With the Newbery books. So yeah, and let's dive right in with the first 2 chapters. And I'll also be just providing you with like a commentary of what happens, because a lot of people get into this introduction because they want to be introduced to the book. They probably won't even have the book with them. And so while reading out loud the entire 2 chapters is going to take a lot of time, I'm just going to offer you a commentary and ask questions that won't really require you to read like the book. Like the book, like really, you don't have to read the book. I'll provide with a good summary. So they were hunting for worms. I am still not sure how to pronounce this. WYRMS. Well, that's plural. And so they were hunting. These were the people under the mountain. And yeah, it was Monday, so they were hunting these. And so they were in this petrified forest, rock, made out of rock. And so the dogs, a group of royal hunting dogs, was at the front. These dogs raced after them, followed by, quote, dukes and duchesses, quote, lords and ladies, servants and sorcerers, unquote. And so it was an enormously fun race, and so the worm was like, I'm just gonna call it the worm. I'm pretty sure that's not the right way to pronounce it, but the worm was just racing ahead. The other dogs were going on, and then this one dog spies the worm's babies escaping, which was the worm's plan from the beginning. She was about to tell the person when the master of the hunt acted pretty cruel to her. And so Elfhound was like, you don't deserve that. You don't deserve to have my knowledge of the worm babies. And then as they chased it out of the mountain, and finally the worm escaped across a highway. But that elegant Elfhound decided to, go on into the gas station near there because she was curious. And when she came back, the magical door that she had come through had disappeared. She was alone in the outside world. Everybody had kind of deserted her. And so here, I want to start with one question. Do you think that if you're the elegant Elfhound, that's what I'm going to call her, do you think that you would, what would you do? Do you think you would even stay with the people? I mean, sure, there's your entire family, but those people, not the dogs, but the family, but the humans don't treat them very nicely, right? They just want them to go hunting, and they just want to see a fight, right? They don't care if a few animals die. And so yeah, what do you think? Do you think you would have just gone? Along with that, yeah, if you were transported to a new world, what would you do? Would you decide that you were just going to explore this world, or would you just wait by the door? What do you think is a better option? And what are your thoughts on magic? Do you feel that it exists? This world is very science-oriented, right? They teach you about the beginning of the universe. They teach you about every single particle that makes us up. Scientists know everything about the calls of birds to the structure of atoms and stuff like that, right? Molecules. We know what's going on, what went on 10 billion years ago, and we're gonna know what's gonna happen 10 billion years from now. We live in a world where all scientific data and information is shared immediately. We know what's going on in here. We know our heart is pumping. We know how cancer forms. Well, kind of. Yes, and yeah. We can look at disease cells, and it's just an amazing world, science-oriented world as well. And so, do you think that there's any thoughts? Do you think that you believe in magic? I mean, because think about it. Long ago, there were so many mythologies. Greek mythology, Roman mythology, I mean, they're kind of the same. Egyptian mythology, Norse mythology, Korean mythology, Chinese mythology. Basically, every culture had a mythology. They had gods, they had monsters, and they had heroes. They had amazing, strange creatures. Pegasus, tigers, jackal-headed gods. You name it, right? But as people really, discovered went to all ends of the earth, discovered the smartphone, unfortunately. I mean, I guess the smartphone is good, but still. It's a very good and effective productivity killer. And, decided to send probes all the way out millions of miles a long distance away from us. I guess millions of miles. I don't know. And have drilled down deep into the earth. That has disappeared, right? No more mythologies about jackal-headed gods anymore. And so yeah, it seems like in general, human belief in magic has disappeared. What about yours? And do you think that believing in magic is a good thing or not? I like to think of it as a good thing, because that means that your mind is open to new possibilities. It isn't just closed to the hard facts that we know. It's open to the possibly amazing the amazing things that this world can produce, right? Who knows, right? And there's a mystery to that, and it adds a touch of excitement to life. And maybe magic does not exist, but I would like to think that it does, because that maybe gives me more hope. And it makes everything a bit more fun and a bit more mysterious. Okay, so chapter 2. And so Clay is walking through the woods alone. So he's a boy, a human boy. So no, he isn't an elf hound or anything like that. And so he was thinking that he hated to play frisbee alone. Yes, there's a virus all over the country, and judging from this seems to be the COVID virus, the COVID pandemic. First of all, it's a pandemic because it says all over the country and the world. It's probably the COVID pandemic. This was released in 2023, so, right after the COVID pandemic, fresh in people's minds. Another thing is that, this world has computers, and it seems to be, and it has frisbee, and, you can go on your computer and, play games and chat with friends. So I would just say it'll be the COVID pandemic. Maybe, it could be any pandemic, right? This isn't like our world specifically, but still. It was probably the COVID-19 virus if put into today's standards. And so Clay was going around when he saw the elf hound, and at first he thought, that's a weird dog. It seems like a mad dog, right? Because it was sprinting right toward him. But it actually prevented an attack from him by the worm, right? It chased the worm off from him. Of course, he thinks it's a bear. He just saw like something really big moving through the woods, and I think that everybody's first thought would be a bear, or like just another like big animal, like a deer or something. And so, the dog and Clay just watch each other a bit. The dog is regal. She's queenly. She's, very aristocratic, you could say. Kind of. She's graceful. And so, Clay asked asked the dog if she wanted to play frisbee. He would throw the thing. He just blinked, and she will be right by his side with the frisbee in her mouth. he wouldn't even see her move. It was like she moved invisibly. And that was when he decided that she was a magic dog. And so he became excited about all of the adventures that they might have. And that's what I'm gonna leave off with in this book. But of course, I still have some more questions. But this is a nice way, I think, to summarize the first 2 chapters of this book. I haven't told you the entire story. I left a lot of important and fun parts out, but that just basically gives you the picture. Clay, probably in the middle of the COVID virus, cut off from everybody else, and this dog, and meeting this dog in the woods. And that starts this book, and that starts the adventures. So one question, would you go into the woods? So first of all, like, would you be brave enough to go into them? And why would you go into the woods? What do you think? And then there's a quote in this book. And so it isn't actually the first 2 chapters. But here's a quote. It says, there are few better things in life than exploring with a dog and finding new places together. You know, Clay and the Elfhound are going through the forest, and and the Elfhound leads him on a path that he's never seen before, even though he knows the mountain like the back of his hand, and to entire meadow and view that he's never seen before, because she follows a magic trail. So, what do you think? Do you think that that's true? Do you think that you're gonna enjoy this book? If it's a yes, definitely, then yeah. You should definitely check it out at your local library or buy it. If you are a Kindle user, I'm not gonna advertise Amazon or anything like that, but Amazon has really low prices for it right now. It's 99 cents. The paperback version, hardcover, just a physical version is around is $14.99, I think. But for some reason, the Kindle version is really, really cheap. Not very sure why. But yeah, if you're a Kindle user, I would recommend that option because it's pretty cheap. And so, how do you think this book is gonna be like? If you just use your powers of figurative speech and think about and compare it to something else, how would it be like? What do you think that this book will be like? I think that it'll just be like this. The dog, remember that dog quote I just mentioned before, where it said there are a few better things in life than exploring with a dog and finding new places together. Well, I think that this is exploring new places. And I think that each book brings me a journey, and so I am ready for this journey through mysterious woods and into places of magic, just like Clay and the dog do. And I hope they enjoy this book. It's a Newbery Award winner, but even if it didn't win that, I would totally be recommending this book to you. And I hope that you enjoy it. Bye!